Well, I would like to continue the um, discussion and explorations from last week uh, on false personality. And as a reminder that this is not my, this is not, I didn't come up with this. This is not Mihai's knowledge. And it comes from various sources, from kind of higher beings, higher or ancient knowledge, people who already kind of studied their themselves deeply, and they attained some degree of peace, awakening. And then they were gracious enough to share, and then they pass down, just like ignorance and trauma passes down. Same kind of wisdom passes down. And the invitation is to not believe what I'm saying. It doesn't help, it's not like the church, but to be open and see how it resonates for you, and to try to verify, to check the truth of these things in yourself. And then it becomes verified. So on this path, it's not a path of belief or devotion. It's a path of investigation and path of checking out for ourselves. And then we verify. So yeah, so this term false personality, and then this is a term we use, but it's synonymous with finite self or ego, or the imaginary picture of ourselves, what we believe to be, but actually we are not that. Um, just like a mask, a mask is if a mask. We are so used to this mask that developed gradually, and then we started to look in the mirror, and then we see the mask, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's me. Then it kind of solidifies the mask, and then we believe to be the mask, and the mask believes to be me. So that's very important in exploring anything to do with these concepts of ego or false personality, or to know that actually we are studying what we are not. We are not that. Uh, and, take this as a possibility. Initially, we believe to be this. We believe I'm this man who is inferior, or who is deficient somehow, who is not enough, and who has all these problems and all these beliefs. But the teaching and is to that actually this is our false sense of me, and it is more like created and maintained in our mind. So our mind, which is actually our thoughts, it is hijacked by like a parasite. It's like a parasite that takes over the host, and it convinces the host that it is it. Um, so that's why trying to improve our ego, trying to improve it and to make it better. So the path of self-improvement, in a way that trying to make my imaginary picture of myself better, more polished, more likable, more better. It doesn't really bring freedom and peace. We are kind of altering the illusion somehow, and it's stressful and needs a lot of maintenance, and we are bound to not succeed. And so the path is to observe these things in ourselves and to realize that they are actually it doesn't exist. Actually, it's like a story. It's like some movie that we believe, like memories and pictures and some inner voices that talk, and then there's some reactions, and they're all very convincing. because everybody around us is, their consciousness is identified with this construct, and we are used and conditioned to feel like we are the construct, and so that's the situation. And the path is to, without judging, to observe, to study the construct, without blaming it, without having strong emotion about it, without trying to get rid of it, just to kind of study like a well-paid scientist that is, you know, as if writing a research project, a paper on this parasite-like construct. Also, the more we develop this ability to become more aware and to witness thoughts and feelings, somehow the easier it is to see the construct. And the construct, or this false personality, is like clouds, like overcast, thick overcast day that are, but behind it there's the sun. And but because there's very thick clouds, somehow it's difficult to see the sun. And so let's say if somebody who were to live like that, we might never see the sun, although the sun is always there. So in this metaphor, the sun is what we really are, the presence of awareness, consciousness, the divine, spontaneous, creative, loving nature. And the clouds are this accumulation of beliefs about ourselves, adaptations. So the job is to basically, the investigation or the study is as the effect of gradually thinning the clouds, and then gradually kind of they move through. And then there's more and more sun blows through it. So to get a little less theoretical now and get more practical, I want to zoom into some aspect of our false personality, the false sense of me. And this is, I want to touch on two aspects. One of them is what is called in the fourth way, is called inner considering. Inner considering, it's a term, doesn't matter, but it is the activity of being identified and preoccupied with how we are perceived by other people. And this activity of being identified with, trying to ensure that we are liked and appreciated and respected, and trying to make sure that they get this imaginary picture we try to project. So trying to appear in a good light, trying to get a good impression, and at the same time to avoid being judged, trying to do whatever we can so they don't believe we are bad somehow or deficient. So all this trying to project something and try to hiding something. Yeah, this is, it's starts from childhood, you know, I mean, it's unavoidable. We have this natural tendency as a child to please, or to receive love, which is natural, and to want love. But that somehow through the, you know, there's some ignorance and unconsciousness in society and in the parents. It's not their fault. we are kind of getting this thing, oh, you know, if you do like this, you're a good boy, like this, a bad boy, and you know, you make mommy sad, or so yeah. So it's very important to observe this phenomena in ourselves, and all the dense and the stressful kind of it's effortful and a lot of calculations and a lot of thoughts and tensions around what will other people think about me, and trying to make sure that they think about me in a certain way. So actually this comes out in relationship, or you start date someone new. This comes right away, like, you know, we are not natural, because we are trying to unconsciously try to be seen like that, and actually this has a weird vibe. Although everybody's doing it, and actually, if we were just to drop all this, which is practically impossible at the beginning, we will be much more likable. And because what's true, our natural way of being is much more attractive than like some contrived kind of game. Another yeah.
Can it be associated with like a false personality or false whatever we were talking about earlier? Because I kind of feel like that, but I've always felt strong in who I am. But I don't want people to think, like, people think of me like I'm like blown away what they think of me when I walk in the room, because I didn't really have that power. I didn't feel that. Now that I know, it's that ego that comes in, because I have never had that. So when I walk into a room now, knowing that that's what other people see me, the ego goes in, and I'm like, I'm better than all of you, type of thing. Mm-hmm. Not that I am, but I feel powerful in that way. Mm-hmm. And I kind of take it like, you don't know anything about me. Like, I'm an iceberg. I could be this way, but that's just what I let you know. Like, my husband knows me as somebody that none of my other friends will ever know me as, because he's my husband and I opened up to him. But the dating thing was the false personality, because I wanted him to like me. Mm-hmm. But I also let it out on the table that, hey, I'm a whore. I ran the streets. I slept with several guys. I'm talking to several guys. Like, I let him know. Mm-hmm. But there was still those steps that I had to take, the false personality, the ego, all that. It all came into finding out who I am. So could it be false ego or false personality? Could that be a false personality, feeling that way?
Well, this whole inner considering activity, trying to appear in a way, this is false personality. So all this is in the umbrella of this the imaginary picture of how we think we are, or how we want people to see us. Mm-hmm. But I get it from you. It seems like you in the past used to have like a bad idea of yourself, and then you were used to, and you will believe this, which also is false personality. Mm-hmm. Like the having the deflated negative self-image. You're not good enough. Not good enough, unworthy, like this, I'm scum, and all that. And then somehow, we'll speak about that. That's also very much false personality. Okay. But then somehow through life changes and all that, and through inner work and whatever. Anyway, now when you go, people don't know you, and you create a good impression without even trying to. Mm-hmm. People are like, wow, man, you are like awesome, and I see your light and this and that, and I see how powerful you are. And so then you keep hearing this feedback, which initially is like, what? Mm-hmm. You know, it's strange, doesn't correspond with the
That's not how I see myself.
Yeah, you know how you see yourself. Right. It's not how you, but now it's kind of, this is happening, and then now there's another, that's nice. Oh, maybe I am like this. And so actually now it's the same sense of me. It's the same kind of false personality that now is getting a little inflated, you know. Okay. So like, oh, you know, many people, politicians and many people, I also used to have this pretty strong, have this mixture of this, and they are not aware that the collapsed inferior complex, and on top there is this thing, hey, I'm smarter than you, I know better than you, I'm pretty, I'm special. There's this kind of tapes of being special, being superior, being better, being right. All of these are equally false me, just like the one that says I'm less than you guys, I'm scum, I'm unworthy. So
they're working together.
They are working together. They are aspects of the same me, that we initially identify with, me as a person, and you used to identify me as a bad, inferior person. Now it's like a mixture. Oh yeah, they did that, but then there's like me, like a nice person, you know. So, and it's great that you observe how, I mean, from one angle, it is healing, and it's nice if one comes from a negative self-image, very bad, to receive, to be seen and appreciated. Actually, this is important because that's what
I never got that.
You never got that,
so
exactly.
Hearing that is powerful to me, because I've never felt like that. And to have someone else from the outside see that in me without even knowing how, you know, I'm giving off that vibe, and that's what, you know, I don't realize that I'm doing that, but people are threatened by me because I walk into the room and my aura is like, oh, you know, like, and people have told me that, like, I don't want to be around you because I can't handle it. And whatever, that's too bad for you. I'm going to be me either way. I think that's also part of ego, but I've had to fight for how I feel my whole life. So now that I'm an adult and I don't have to have a parent over my head saying you're wrong, you're not supposed to feel like that, it's scary because am I allowed to feel this way? Is this okay?
Am I allowed to feel okay with myself?
Right.
Am I allowed to not give a shit?
Right. And that's questioning yourself again, which goes back into the whole,
Okay, so this is a great point you bring up. Actually, people, when you get this good appreciation, or like, hey, I see you, I see your gold, as they say, or I see your medicine, your gold, your qualities. This is true. And these are qualities of our spirit, qualities of the self, of presence. And so let it in. And actually, this is a good experience, especially coming from where you didn't have that, was malnourished. If you had that from your parents, they will say, oh, I'm here for you. Oh, you're so clever. Oh, you're so good with that. Oh, I see you. So instead of getting criticism, you'll get like blessing. Blessing meaning that you are encouraged and supported and seen for your talents. If we have that in childhood, then the child grows to be naturally secure and confident, and actually don't have a lot of thoughts about. It's less static, like me, or they don't like me, or so it's more like confident and comfortable.
Right.
Who gets that?
So you have that, and then now it's coming in and it's nourishing, but you are noticing, which is very cool, you are noticing now how the ego is now juicing that. Okay.
Because I've been lacking that.
Yeah.
So a little bit of that is almost like a drug. I need more, like make me feel good type of thing.
Yeah.
Validation,
definitely.
Validation is so fucking powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
So if they see me like that, it must be that I'm like that. So I'm finally okay.
Right.
You know? Hey, enjoy it. It's because what they see, it's true, you know, and still just be aware of all this stuff. This is now a different flavor. You are playing a different game now. Also, it happens a lot. People who, let's say, go on a spiritual path and they start meditate and they do all these things and life is changing a little bit, and then they develop this kind of, it's called spiritual ego. Now, hey, I'm spiritually superior.
Okay.
My mind is more purified than
I
yours.
think my husband thinks like that.
I'm a little more spiritually superior than you are.
Right.
And I know you don't know, you guys don't know, because I've done all this meditation and I had all these teachers, and I had this awakening like 3 years ago where I saw something. You know, it's all this. Anything that talks like that, whether it's negative or like this, about me, about image, good or bad, this is the parasite. So it's all this, we just observe non-judgmentally, you know. There are examples when people grow in, let's say, more, if people grow in really, yeah, wholesome. I remember that there was actually the daughter of Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer was a really wise man. He was like Eckhart Tolle, but you know, he died recently, and he wrote many books, and he had many kids. And by the time he had kids, he was already like very wise, conscious guy, and he raised his daughters with unconditional love and all the time. And anyway, this lady was talking how it was to be raised by him and how she felt that she's unconditionally loved, and then she's okay. And then anything is possible, you know. So it can happen like that. It can happen also in more like simple, in more simple cultures, let's say tribal culture, or in some kind of where there's much less, in those cultures, there's much less false personality, actually. There's almost non-existent. So people, they live in essence. They are not necessarily, you know, they are not self-aware, but they are just more like the cat. The cat doesn't have false personality. They are just more like this human, and they are hunter, or they are doing these things. There are not many worries about being like this. They are honest, straight up. So that's people you can encounter sometimes that are, it's less in the Western world. They have to go somewhere remotely, or, and much more simple, you know, essence. So that's why we're trying to, or on the way through awakening and being more conscious, instead of having the false personality, we have more like our essence, which is how you as a woman are, the natural tendencies, you know. And some are more, some are like the extroverts, some are introverts, some are more like they like math, some they like this,
some are loud,
music.
some are reserved.
Yeah. So these are natural tendencies, and then, yeah, just like the bodies, the same how the bodies are different, the same our psychological makeup is slightly different. And so essence is simple. It's like in the fourth way, they say that like false personality is, they call it, it's world 96, meaning that it is under 96 influences, like a lot of things that you need to follow. You have to obey 96 kind of rules. And essence is considered to be world 24. So you have just 24 kind of things governing it. So it's much more free, you know, less contrived, less worried, less, you know. Usually people that, whether they are due to conscious work or due to being lucky in their environment, they are much less concerned about how they appear, and less, it is what's called, how's it called, when you're in, with a crowd and you are self-conscious in a way, or anxiety in public, or all this fear of being rejected, fear of being judged, and all that. So another aspect of, so this inner considering is something that we are informed to watch for. And whenever this happens, behind it is our false sense of me. So the idea is to watch it, observing what it says, and observe the feeling, and then just drop it. I mean, become aware of it, and become more like you're stepping out of the false. You're falling back into being the observer. You know. Another aspect of false personality that we talked, I think, with all of us, we talked before, but just to make sure it's part of this, it's the accumulation of, is a whole collection of beliefs we have about ourselves that they are usually, for most people, unconscious or subconscious. These are a story about myself as the deficiency identity, the deficiency story, the negative core image. That for most people it is like deficiency, so it's more like inferiority complex of some type, and for some, usually statistically less, but it's more like it's an inflated story, you know, like we can see in politics and stuff. And all over the world, you know, stars or you know, Hollywood, but usually they even people with a like high imaginary superiority, deep down, actually there is some inferiority and there's some kind of compensation. So yeah, the deficiency, the negative core image. So it's definitely like a heart of our ego, and it is appears like a construct is made up of like a voice in the head, the inner critic, or a certain kind of subtitles. It says, you know, there's something wrong with me. Comes weird. Different flavors. You are weird. You are less than other people, and that comes up with evidence. And so there is a like audio file. It says certain. It's like a mental aspect of it, and then, you know, like the words are the thoughts. The words are like a spell, and then when this day our body is mostly water, so then this kind of casts a spell on our water, let's say, and then whenever we have any negative thoughts, either about other people or about ourselves, then it feels bad in the body. So the deficient identity has a correspondent bad feeling, which, you know, Eckhart Tolle talks as the pain body. We can use this like a pain body is a collection of the negative thoughts and the negative feelings, and they form an identity, you know. And
does trauma go in with that?
Trauma would be there's something shocking and hurtful is happening to us, something shocking or hurtful. It's a real, you know, like witnessing violence, receiving violence, abuse, neglect, harsh conditions, war, witnessing people dying, witnessing. So, but it doesn't have to be so intense. Can be somebody repeatedly putting us down, somebody repeatedly telling nasty thing about us, yelling at us, or some parents suddenly disappearing. You know, this. So all these are, especially for a child, this is like a shock, and so. But it can be, you know, or a soldier witnessing somebody's blown up in front of them, or, you know, or witnessing. I have a friend of mine who was in Afghanistan, and he went all this, and then, but what fucked him up the most was that he was sending some rescue mission, and he was rescuing all these kids who were half burned and like this. So this was this will come to him all the time in nightmares, not so much of the soldiers, but all the kids and all that. And whenever there was any movie, although that guy was like tough guy, serious, hardcore, whenever there was a movie, anything will happen bad to a child, he'd be like, freak out.
It's a trigger, yeah.
So, that's trauma like that. Anyway, so, but usually trauma in childhood, this way, if it's not processed, or if we don't have a healthy environment to help us to deal with it and explain what's happening and receive love and be comforted and soothed, then this trauma ends up actually contributing to, so it's like unmetabolized information in the body. It's like undigested, like something. And also, usually the mind of the child tries to understand and make a meaning. So usually it makes a story that it's a story, something bad about me. So let's say the father leaves because nothing to do with the child, and then often I've seen the little girl is like, oh, it's my fault, because my fault, I didn't do this, that's why he left.
Yeah.
So often with trauma there is this somatic aspect, meaning that there's energy in the body that is stuck, and usually shock, that usually it's pushed down, so we can almost forget the whole situation altogether because it's too unbearable to feel, and our system protects itself, so it kind of puts it in a vault and puts it somewhere else so we can function.
So is it going to be stuck there forever, or how do we get rid of that?
Hang on, let's bookmark this. It's
Okay.
a good question. So there is this shock energy, ultimately, that is trapped in the system. And then out of that comes also a story that starts to form the deficiency story, that, oh, this I must be unlovable. If he's shouting and beating me all the time, I'm undeserving. It means that it's my fault. I don't deserve love, or I'm unworthy. So there is a story. So now, often, strong deficiency story correlates with some trauma too. So it's a correlation.
Okay.
And then this story, actually, the mind has this story, which is like a filter. And because actually underneath of that, we are consciousness. Actually, it's consciousness that makes this story. It's so, and this is powerful, creator. So if we believe this story, this filter of being bad somehow, then we are going to attract people and situations that will confirm to our idea of the world or of myself. Yeah. So it's like we are unconsciously creating our world based on the thoughts, the repeated thoughts. Not just thoughts, it's beliefs are a thought that we are convinced it's true. So these are very dangerous. So it's very important to challenge and investigate our beliefs, because whenever we something believe it is true and we have feelings about it, then it works like in Aladdin with the genie, somehow this free will, and then we are going to have all the time evidence about that belief, and then the belief is confirmed. Oh, you see, it's like that. So this trauma starting beliefs about oneself or the world, it's not just, oh, I'm a piece of shit, but it is like, it's not safe. It's not safe. And I can never trust anybody,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I can't rely on anybody. I have to do it all myself. Nobody has my back. So, there are different, let's say, the wound can be more like at the survival level, like reptilian brain, which connected to safety and survival. And these are usually happening if something really bad happens when we are really, really young. When we're really, really young, a few months old, 1, 2, 3 years old, we just need safety, you know. And if that doesn't happen, although we don't have images and memories about this, there is like some deep felt sense in the gut of feeling unsafe, you know, which is there's no belief. It's like something like unrelaxed, you know.
So my whole life living with my mom was like that.
Yeah.
Because she was the devil. But most of my trauma.
Yeah.
So living with her, my stomach hurt. I was always sick.
Your physical body.
Physical body, yeah. I was very skinny. I wouldn't eat. I would throw up every now and again, and then that turned into, oh, you're just asking for attention. You just want me to feel sorry for you. And it's just like, then none of my feelings were justified because nobody communicated. I didn't get that love from a mom, like a crying shoulder type of person.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's like. I want to be that for my kids because I didn't get that, but I don't know how to be like that because I wasn't shown. So that's a struggle, and I want to learn how to fix that.
Me too. I hear you completely. I actually have very distinct memories of being a baby.
So do I. Yeah.
Like
I remember being touched.
Memories being that tiny.
Yeah, I remember being touched. So
you remember not being touched?
No, I remember being touched.
Oh, being touched inappropriately.
And then I remember telling my
mom,
I was 4.
Yeah.
And then I remember telling my mom, and she didn't believe me. And I told my stepmom, and she started the investigation. But then I ended up living with my mom, and that was all my fault. I shouldn't have opened my mouth. You just didn't want me to be with him. You caused this, and blah, blah, blah. And now it's happening again with her husband. You know, she still doesn't believe that he touched me. And it's just like, that's the deficiency story.
Yeah.
But it's a real story because it really happened to me, but it's deficient because it was never solved. It was just...
You were invalidated.
Invalidated, exactly.
Yeah, no. I mean, the good news is that you survived somehow, and somehow things shifted. You had good luck, good karma, whatever.
I guess, yeah.
Angels. Kind of, you were saved out of that and kind of started to have love later, and then, you know, you are in this garage now.
I mean, the only experience of love that I've got was from my husband. Mm-hmm. He knew nothing about me and loved me with all my scars and everything. Mm-hmm. Without a question. And then I tried to leave him. I had an affair on him. Mm-hmm. And he still fucking loved me. So it's just like, I don't believe that he's real, but I've never had that. I've never had somebody that really loved me. So it's scary.
That's so triggering for me because I don't know if I've ever felt that.
Oh man.
Like love.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No. My husband was the first one, and I have a hard time believing him because I was never loved, or I felt like I was never loved. So, I mean, I prayed for him, so he's out there.